and helped mentor, and we've coached baseball together. His name's JJ. He's just a great kid. He's going to be going to UF in the fall and study finance. Just a great human being. So
Wow.
really proud that. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing, Galen. All the accolades you're giving him and what he's giving back to the community. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're a leader in more ways than you realize. You probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just don't find too many. I mean, I started coaching baseball with him when he was 15, and just the maturity level of JJ. There's many times he goes, "Coach, just calm down. It's gonna be all right." I'm like, I don't know if it is.
Oh, I bet he does. Yeah, yeah. You're
really good.
You're an animated kind of a guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Action animation.
And so he'd be like, "Man, it's all right." And then, like, I told him at the beginning of the season, I said, "Your job is to remind me that these kids are 8 years old." And there are many times where he's like, "Well, they're 8 years old." I'm like, "They should still make that play."
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
So I guess just before we get into the topic of the day, what is the state of the blood supply?
Yeah, I mean, O negatives is still is always a little low, but we're up to 2 days, which is not bad considering the time of the year. And of course, we need AB plasma. We need male AB plasma. So if you're a male and you're AB, we need you to donate.
And are you driving right now up for your snapper trip, or is that later today?
No, not yet. Going to be leaving here in a little bit, but not quite yet.
No.
I need a snapper trip. I don't know why you're
Everybody
laughing.
needs to go on a snapper.
I don't know why you're laughing at that. I just think it sounds good. It must be a euphemism in there somewhere. All right, Galen. One of the things we're doing today, because it's the 70th anniversary of D-Day, is obviously remembering. And one of the groups that was forgotten for a long time was the contribution of the African Americans that served, right? The Tuskegee Airmen is specifically where I'm going with this. And in fact, when you look at some of these facts I'm going to read to you, it's like almost like, oh, you cringe. It's like, oh, you're kidding. We did that? Mm-hmm. So listen to some of these things. Are you ready? First of all, before we do anything, Mike Emig is the only guy I know. He's a white guy. Yeah. He's with the Red Tail Memorial Chapter 136 of the Air Force Association, the part of the Tuskegee group, right?
Yes.
They're having a meeting on June 19th, and he wanted me to let you know about that at the airport.
All right.
At the airport, just so you know. Okay. All right. So listen.
Thank you, Mike.
Listen to this one. These are some fascinating facts about the Tuskegee Airmen. The 477th Bombardment Group was formed in 1944 to extend the so-called Tuskegee Experiment by allowing black aviators to serve on bomber crews. The aim was to send pilots, many of them veterans of the original Tuskegee fighter group, back to the States for training on B-25 bombers. B-25 bombers. While in Indiana, here's the part that makes you say, whoa, you're kidding. While in Indiana, some of the officers, African American, don't forget, were arrested and charged with mutiny.
Oh.
What was their crime? You know what their crime was? They entered an all-white officers' club.
Oh, my God. Oh, gosh.
You know what's amazing when you think about it is that we think of this as like a very, very long time ago, but, it was possible that some of these kids' parents, or definitely their grandparents, were slaves.
Right.
As Tuskegee Airmen.
Right.
So that's not that long ago. So it's kind of amazing.
There's another part to that story that I just told you. A man who would later become well known, Thurgood Marshall, was a young lawyer. He represented the 100 black officers who had landed in jail as a result of that so-called mutiny.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Can you believe that?
Yep. Well, and again, they were just looking for any reason for these guys to fail. It wasn't about, it's just, that was a pure, that's racism in its purest form. So, yeah.
Yeah, but look at all the missions that they did and escorted all the people to keep them safe.
All right, now listen to this. Are you ready for this one? This is a very cool one. And I'm going to throw in a story my dad told me. And I have a tape of him saying this story on the air one time. Mm-hmm. My dad told the story of how he told his superior back when he was serving in World War II, I guess it was in Germany, that he saw a jet go over. And the superior told him, you've got battle fatigue. There's no jet. Mm-hmm. Okay, now whether the superior knew there was and wasn't allowed to say, or really believed that my dad had battle fatigue, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But there were jets. Germany had jets.
Yeah.
And listen to this. This is associated with the Tuskegee Airmen. On March 24th, 1944, a fleet of P-51 Mustangs, these are not jets. These are propeller-driven planes, led by Colonel Benjamin O. Davis, the commander of the Tuskegee Airmen, set out on the longest escort mission their crews would fly during World War II. The 43 fighters were there to help B-17 bombers run a gauntlet of over 1,600 miles.
Wow.
That's like from here to Maine or something.
Yeah.
Into the heart of Hitler's Germany and back. The bombers' target was a tank factory in Berlin.
Gosh.
It was heavily defended by whatever forces the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, could muster. The 25 aircraft protecting the plant included the battle-tested FW-190 radial propeller fighters, the ME-163 Comet rocket-powered plane, and the much more formidable ME-262, history's first jet fighter,
Gosh.
and the forerunner of today's modern fighters. While the American P-51s typically lagged behind the ME-163s and 262s, they could outmaneuver them at low speeds.
Oh.
Well, they were faster, but they could outmaneuver them at low speeds. The German planes also tended to run out of fuel more quickly than the Tuskegee Airmen's Mustangs, making the most of their limited advantages. Pilots Charles Brantley, Earl Lane, and Roscoe Brown, all Tuskegee Airmen, are you ready for this? Shot down 3 German jets over Berlin that day.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
3 of them.
Because they could outmaneuver them. Wow.
They earned the 332nd Fighter Group a Distinguished Unit Citation.
Gosh.
How about that?
Golly.
That's a cool story.
Very cool story.
That was awesome.
Your dad saw it.
You saw one of those jets, right?
Yeah, he sure did.
Let me go to the phone. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. Benjamin O. Davis eventually rose to the rank of 4-star general and commanded 14th Air Force.
There you go.
There you go.
Wow.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
Have a good day, all.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
some other fascinating facts about the Tuskegee Airmen. This is a cool one, kind of. In April 1941, before the United States entered the war, Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady, visited the Tuskegee Army Airfield in Alabama where the Tuskegee Airmen were training.
Oh, my.
There was a guy by the name of Charles Anderson. They called him Chief. He was the chief flight instructor at the time. He offered to take the First Lady around the field. He had taught himself to fly in a used plane that he bought with his own savings.
Oh.
Mrs. Roosevelt agreed, and the photos and the film that came out of that 40-minute flight helped to convince people to support the creation of the Black Fighter Group that we're remembering in this segment.
Thank God for Eleanor. Gee.
Yeah, she was an amazing lady.
Wow. And she knew just how to do it, too.
That's all.
She was wonderful.
Here's one that goes. This one extends beyond the war. In fact, it goes to 1970. Are you ready for this? Daniel Chappie James Jr. Started his career in the early 1940s at Tuskegee, joining the Army Air Corps in July 1943. After the war ended, he stayed in what became the Air Force and flew missions in both Korea and Vietnam. In 1969, he was put in command of the Wheelus Air Force Base outside of Tripoli. A year earlier, a coup led by Colonel Muammar Gaddafi had overthrown the country's ruling monarch, King Idris. Is that how you say it, Galen? Gaddafi then ordered the closing of the large American base in the country he now controlled. But before a formal handover to the Libyan authorities could take place, Gaddafi pushed his forces onto the base. James later recalled the standoff that followed, saying, quote, "One day, Gaddafi ran a column of half-tracks through my base, right through the housing area at full speed. I shut the barrier down at the gate and met Gaddafi a few yards outside it. He had a fancy gun and a holster and kept his hand on it. I had my .45 in my belt. I told him to move his hand away. If he had pulled that gun, he never would have cleared his holster. They never sent me any more half-tracks." How's that for a cool story?
That is awesome. I love that. Gosh.
Wow, almost shot him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what a story.
He stood down, right?
Yeah.
And then this is kind of Jim stole my thunder, I think, right there. But the last one is for keeping his cool in the face of Gaddafi's troops. Daniel James was appointed a brigadier general by President Nixon, but he wasn't the only one to graduate the Tuskegee experiment to make the rank of general. James followed in the footsteps of Benjamin O. Davis, Jr., the general that Jim was just letting us know about. Mm-hmm. The original commander of the 332nd Fighter Group and the first black general in the U.S. Air Force. Another Tuskegee aviator, Lucius Theus, retired a major general after dedicating most of his 36-year career in the Air Force to improving the military's bureaucracy, helping to implement a direct deposit system for service members.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. That is pretty amazing.
So there you go. Just something we often, one of the things you notice when you look at the old war films is that they neglected to include the contributions of the black soldiers and the black.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they did.
it's important to remember that we have a lot of people to thank for the freedom, and it's not all one group. It was everybody pitching in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And I think the remaining Tuskegee Airmen were honored sometime.
We had, what, 2 living in
Yeah.
our area? Are we down to 1? Did one
I
pass
think
away?
so, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to be almost, they got to be in their 90s now, so.
Let's see, 70 years ago today was D-Day, so
So if they were
If they're
18,
18.
or 19.
Say 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, 88, 89.
they could be up there, yeah.
Yeah, if they were young.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Hey, Hugh.
Say, I didn't get a chance to hear all of your programming before Galen's, and I know you were talking all about D-Day and all the war stuff. Did you mention anything about the balloons that attacked the United States from Japan?
No, did not.
Yeah, the Japanese sent hundreds of balloons across the Pacific to land in the west coast of the United States, and on landing would explode, and they were loaded with dynamite and everything else that can blow up. But only 4 people were killed up in Oregon, a farmer and his 3 kids who rushed over to see the balloon land, and it blew up and killed them. But they were trying that kind of a desperate actor towards the end of the war. But it's kind of not well known, but it's kind of an interesting thing.
No, I feel like I've heard it, but I just
Yeah.
forgot about it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Hugh. Appreciate that. Do you know what, when I was a kid, and I don't know whatever happened to them, but you know how we used to have Encyclopedia Britannica? Remember how they looked?
Yes.
Remember, like, you had a whole bookshelf full of these
Yes.
big, thick books? Remember?
I did, yeah. I had them all.
My dad had a collection of books about World War II that looked just like that. It was a huge collection and lots of photographs, lots of what would be considered horrible photographs. I mean,
Yeah.
people, dead soldiers, and it was an unbelievable. He must have, purchased it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, my folks did too. They purchased it after.
And in going through my parents' stuff after my mom died, I found, a few things that I never knew, like medals, little medals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very nice, very moving.
All right, Robin.
Yes.
Galen needs to get on his way to go snapper fishing.
Yes, he does.
What we need a segue from the Tuskegee Airmen to donating blood, or from D-Day to donating blood.
Well, no matter what color anybody is or creed, everybody has the same caring in their heart, and that's their caring for their fellow human beings, whether they rally together to save our world during World War II, as Maury Dean so aptly puts it, or today to save someone that's in an accident. Everybody gets together and they go to Life South community blood centers to donate blood, and that's what it's all about. It's all about community. Life South has always recognized that since its inception, and it always will, because it takes everybody in our community to come together to save a life, and to always remember that we wouldn't have the freedoms if it wasn't for our soldiers. So God bless America, God bless our soldiers, and help keep our country free and alive by donating blood.
Yeah, wow.
There you go.
That was a good one. And I already know the Bloodmobile is one place at the Splish Splash Bash Heritage Festival down in Bellevue.
Yeah.
Is there any other location? Are there any other locations?
Yeah, we're also actually this whole weekend. We're actually out at the Walmart in Dunellen. So that's the second Bloodmobile.
All right.
Oh, okay.
All weekend long.
All weekend.
The Walmart
Excellent.
in Dunellen. I'll be in Dunellen tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
And also tomorrow we're going to be at the library in Bellevue.
Yep, 2 o'clock.
All
There you
right. So let's see. If you can't get to the Bloodmobiles, then you can go on Silver Springs Boulevard to donate blood right next door to the Cascades. And where would you go in Dunellen besides the Bloodmobile, Robin?
Right next door to Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie.
There you go. Well, Galen, you be careful driving up to the Panhandle. You guys have fun, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you very much. We will.
And post,
you guys be great.
post
Thanks
lots
for
of pictures. I live vicariously through you, so.
Yeah, your family always looks like they have a great time when you take them everywhere. So thank you,
Yeah,
Galen, for you and for your service. Thank you so much for helping to keep our country free, Galen.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. You have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday, Galen.
Sounds great. Thanks, y'all.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Yeehaw! Howdy, folks. RL here to invite you to DQ. Dairy Queen is serving the crispiest, juiciest, most tasty chicken